Good evening and welcome to the July 28th South Bend Common Council. At this time, we will have Councilwoman Karen White, at-large member, to give us the invocation.
I ask that everyone will bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this is the day that you've made, and we shall rejoice in it. We thank you for giving us the opportunity to come together, council members, administration, and our city citizens to be about the business that you've commissioned unto us. Help us to make wise decisions. Help us to work together collaboratively. Help us to be about the business that each and every one of us have either been elected or appointed to do. Help us to make South Bend the very best city that it can be. In your name, amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
It is true.
City Clerk John Roy, can you please take the roll?
Mr. Scott? Present. Mr. Henry Davis informed our office that he is on a medical leave of absence. Mrs. Shea? Here. Dr. Furlick? Here. Dr. Varner?
Present.
Vice President Dieter is absent.
He's also
Yes.
medical.
Okay. Mr. Furlick? Here. Councilmember White?
Present.
President Oliver Davis?
I'm present.
7 present.
Okay, we have 7 present. Did you also now read the minutes?
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the July 14th, 2014 meeting and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved. Signed, Oliver Davis, David Varner.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same side. It is carried. On the special business, before we have our bill there, we have a note from our city attorney thanking us for our note on the loss of her mom. And I would like to say, Kathy, you've been in our prayers, and we'll keep you in our prayers. Now, we would like for our clerk to read.
Councilmember Davis, we can have a motion that Bill 1472 be heard as the first resolution under the resolution portion of tonight's meeting.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same sign. It is carried. Here, on behalf of the administration, we both have Deputy Mayor Mark Neal and our Chief of Staff, Catherine Lewis. And at this time, we always would like to invite our Deputy Mayor to come forth and share any thoughts that he would like to share with the City of South Bend.
Thank you, Council President Davis. Good evening, council members, good evening, residents. I'll be brief this evening. I just wanted to remind the public, I know the council is well aware, that we've begun our budget process. I want to thank Councilmember Shea for providing the council priorities to us earlier today after the meeting, the last council committee meeting on July 14th. We'll look to make our first formal presentation on Monday, August 11th of the city's 2015 budget. Look forward to presenting priorities for 2015. I think you'll find many of them consistent with the areas that we've agreed upon here in the past, and our focus as we look to making sure we have strong public safety, building our neighborhoods, and creating a vibrancy and a sense of place that will allow the continuing investment climate here in South Bend to continue as we look to attract expansions of businesses as well as new businesses. So just a reminder on the budget presentation for August 11th, and other than that, I'll leave it open to any questions.
Any questions for Sir? Seeing no questions, so we thank you again for the job you're doing, and keep it up.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
This time, I'd like to have a motion to resolve to the committee as a whole.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same side. It is carried.
President Davis, I request to stay in my seat.
That is fine with me.
Okay, great, thank you. Can't do business without the gavel. The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where council sits as a committee. Proposed ordinances are read by title only by City Clerk John Forty. Reports are then verbally given by the chairperson of the council standing committee to which the proposed ordinance was sent for an advisory review and recommendation. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member of the area plan will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report, and then the formal presentation followed by a public hearing. During this meeting, we ask that everyone turn their cell phones to the silent mode to avoid any interruption. Additional rules and the agenda for this meeting are here on the railing if you would like a copy. With that, I now will ask City Clerk John Bordy to read Bill 3314.
Public hearing on the bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, annexing to and bringing within the city limits of South Bend, Indiana, and amending the zoning ordinance for property located in Penn Township, contiguous therewith. Councilmanic District 5, Deldora LLC, 17716, 17802, and 17830 Ireland Road, Mishawaka, Indiana, 46544.
Thank you, Clerk Bordy. Council, may I have a motion to accept the substitute?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The Zoning and Annexation Committee met earlier, and Councilman Scott is the chair. What was the finding?
We met earlier this afternoon and sent this Bill 3314 favorably to the full council.
Thank you, Councilman Scott. Now I will look to Mrs. Hill of the area plan area, and can you please tell us about this bill?
Thank you. Krista Hill with the Area Plan Commission, offices on the 11th floor. This is both an annexation and rezoning. It's currently in the county zoned R single-family district. They would like to come into the city and change the zoning to the Planned Unit Development, or PUD district. It's a 20-acre site south or between Ireland Road and the US 20 bypass, just east of Ironwood Road, across Ireland from the Irish Hills apartment complex for a location. It's currently a wooded site. And this is taken from a little bit closer to the Ironwood Road. There's a CVS right at the corner. There's a daycare that would be just adjacent to this property. So just, again, to give you an idea where the location is along Ireland Road. It's a 20-acre site. It's been broken up into 5 different areas. At the Area Plan Commission meeting, it came with an unfavorable recommendation because at that time the petitioner had not given specifics for each of the areas. After the Area Plan Commission meeting, the petitioner met with the staff, and we have come up with about an 8 or 9 page development standards document that does stipulate which uses would be allowed in each of the districts. Overall, the uses that would be allowed would be those in the MF2 district, or urban high-density multifamily, the LB local business district, the CB community business district, and 6 or 7 uses from the GB general business district. Those are allowed in certain areas. Most of they're all allowed in A, E, and C. Area B is restricted to local business and the multifamily districts only. In addition, in Area B, they have proposed to not have any drive-through facing the eastern portion of the boundary, so against the residential that's existing on the other side. There are also some general signage for the whole property, landscaping, a 15-foot setback along the entire property boundary, and some landscaping along the boundary as well. And if you have any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Council, are there any questions for Mrs. Hill? Seeing none, thank you. Do we have a formal presenter on this?
Good evening. I'm Brad Moskowitz with Abbott Marsh Consultants, with offices located at 750 Lincoln Way East in South Bend. I'm here tonight representing the petitioner and property owner, Deldora LLC, as well as the contingent purchaser, DNS Development. I'm here with you tonight as a representative from DNS, as well as John Ferricini, the realtor for both parties. As Krista mentioned, We are requesting your approval to annex and rezone approximately 20 acres off Ireland Road. We have talked with the neighbor to the east who is in support of the project, and have also talked with a neighbor who is representing his neighborhood along the west side who is also supporting the project. This property has a few constraints and challenges to work with. There is a Buckeye Petroleum pipeline running east and west, as well as an overhead electric line that runs east and west as well, and then also a drainage way that meanders through the site from the southern portion up to the northwest portion, and that basically accepts stormwater from the US 20 bypass. So based on these challenges, this site is more geared toward individual building sites, or we could call them pods, and it would not resemble like an Erskine village with several buildings, pavements, parking, but more of individual building sites within the rolling terrain and the wooded areas with common access from a new private internal drive. We have, as Krista mentioned, we have met with their staff on several occasions after the Planning Commission to work out development standards for each site that both parties have agreed to, and we feel that it's a good fit for development in this location. We appreciate your consideration, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, are there any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this point in time, we will invite members of the public. Are there any guests here tonight wishing to speak in favor of Substitute Bill 3314? If so, please come to the podium, share your name and address. Seeing no one, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in opposition to Substitute Bill 3314? If so, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, the public portion is now closed. Council, may I have a recommendation for Substitute Bill 3314?
Move the Substitute Bill 3314 go to the council for favorable recommendation.
And set for third reading on August 11th.
Thank you. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Substitute Bill 3314 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
And also set for public hearing on third reading on August 11th.
Thank you, Council Attorney Sikansky. Council Attorney Sikansky, during the Personnel and Finance Committee meeting earlier today, a request was made to amend Bill 3714. Must the amendment be accepted before the reading?
No, the amendment has to be read into the record after Mr. Bordy reads the title, the update from the committee, and then the reading of the amendment.
Thank you, Council Attorney Sikansky. With that, Clerk Bordy, would you please read Bill 3714?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and city service operations in 2014 of $125,000 from General Fund number 101, $300,229 from Motor Vehicle Highway Fund number 222, $30,000 from Studebaker Oliver Grant Fund number 209, $2 million from Department of Community Investment State Grant Funds number 210, $150,000 from Gift Donation Bequest Fund number 217, $1 million from Loss Recovery Fund number 227, $9,900 from Morris Performing Arts Center Palais Royal Marketing Fund number 273, $885,084 from EMS Capital Fund number 288, and $15,000 from Police Federal Drug Enforcement Fund number 299.
Thank you, Clerk Bordy. The Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier today. There was a great deal of discussion around this bill, and we will send this bill to the council favorably with an amendment.
Councilmember Shea, the amendment would include in the title to strike the $125,000 and replace it with $70,000. In Section 1 under General Fund, Fund 101, to strike $125,000 and insert $70,000 under the total in that same section. to strike $4,515,213, and if my math is correct, to replace it with $4,460,213.
Thank you, Council Attorney Sikansky.
And also, on the exhibit under general fund, to strike $125,000 and to insert $70,000.
Thank you. At this point in time, I would like to invite City Controller.
We need a motion to that effect.
Second.
My apologies. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Now, if I may invite City Controller John Murphy to the podium.
Thank you. John Murphy, City Controller with office on the 12th floor. We went through this. This is an appropriation for our civil city funds. It's in accordance with our practice to amend the budgets in March, July, and December. We went through the ordinance pretty significantly during the committee meeting, so I won't repeat that. But if you had any additional questions, I would be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Council, any questions for Mr. Murphy at this time? No. Mr. Murphy, just for clarification, because I think there was some confusion, these are not new funds. These are just transfers of funds, correct?
These are additional appropriations. This one is.
This is not in addition to the civil city budget. We're not. These are just moving funds from one account to another.
That's the third bill that we'll read today. The first two are additional appropriations, yes.
Okay, thank you.
But that third one is just transfers.
Okay, thank you, sir. So at this point, without any questions from council, I invite members of the public to come to the podium. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 3714 as amended? Seeing no one, I will now invite anyone from the public wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 3714 as amended. Seeing no one, the public portion is now closed. Council, may I have a recommendation for Bill 3714 as amended?
Send 3714 as amended to the full council favor.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Bill 3714 as amended will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Clerk 40, would you now please read Bill 3814?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and enterprise operations in 2014 of $170,500 from Solid Waste Operations Fund number 610, $100,000 from Solid Waste Capital Fund number 611, $800,000 from Parking Garage Fund number 601, $500,000 from 2014 Sewer Bond Fund number 665, and $286,863 from Century Center Capital Fund number 671.
Thank you, Clerk 40. The Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier today, and we do send this bill with a favorable recommendation. Once again, I ask Controller John Murphy.
John Murphy, City Controller with offices on the 12th floor. This is similar to the Civil City Ordinance, but it relates to the enterprise funds, which are the business-type funds for the city. Again, we discussed this during committee pretty extensively, outlining those, so I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. The sewer bond fund is actually a deduct rather than an additional appropriation.
Thank you, sir. Council, are there any questions for Mr. Murphy? Seeing none. Thank you. I now invite any of our guests here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 3814 to please come to the podium and share your thoughts. Seeing no one, I likewise invite anyone from the public wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 3814 to come to the podium. Seeing no one, the public portion is now closed. Council, may I have a recommendation for Bill 3814?
Send 3814 to the full council favor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill 3814 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Next, we have Bill 3914. Clerk 40, can you read that bill for us?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana for budget transfers for various departments within the City of South Bend, Indiana for year 2014.
Thank you, sir. Once again, the Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier today, and we do send this bill to the council with a favorable recommendation.
John Murphy, City Controller. This is the ordinance that you referenced, Councilmember Shea. This is the one that transfers money between categories, so it doesn't represent additional spending. It's just transfers between major categories in our accounts. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Council, any questions for Mr. Murphy? Thank you again. I now invite anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of Bill 3914 to please come to the podium and share your thoughts. Seeing no one, I likewise extend an invitation to anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 3914 to come to the podium. Seeing no one, the public portion is now closed. Council, what is your pleasure for this bill?
Motion to approve.
Second. Yeah.
I have a motion and a second to send Bill 3914 to the full council with a favorable recommendation. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Bill 3914 goes to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Forty, would you please read for us Bill 3614?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 17, Article 2, Division 3 of the South Bend Municipal Code pursuant to the Environmental Protection Agency's, EPA's, recommendations.
Councilman Fred Froelich, we understand the Utilities Committee met earlier. What is the recommendation you send?
Recommendation to send to the full council a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a formal presenter for this bill?
Good evening, Council. Eric Horvath, Public Works Director, 13th floor of this building. The ordinance in front of you is amending the sewer regulations in Chapter 17, Article 2, Division 3 of the Municipal Code. The EPA periodically requires the city to review the chemical limitations that they have to discharge to our POTW. As part of that review process, the city determined that it is in their interest to allocate these limits based on what you need is what you get, which essentially means instead of allocating the pollutants to all users, we allocate them to the users who actually need them. So what ultimately happens is that we're not allocating pollutants whether you need them or not. We're only allocating them if you need them, thus preventing unreasonably low limits for those who need them. But at the same time, keeping your total pollutant load at the same amount that it is currently. On February 10th of 2014, the Council passed a resolution and adopted Resolution 4319-14, which approved the proposed version of this ordinance. It was subject to public notice and comment and final approval by the EPA. We've gone through that period. There's been more than a 30-day notice period. And has gone with no objection and has also been approved by the EPA, so we'll bring it back to the council at this point to ask for your approval of this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horvath. Council, are there any questions for Mr. Horvath? Seeing none, thank you so much. I now invite any members of the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 3614 to please come to the podium, share your thoughts. I now likewise extend the invitation for anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 3614. Please come to the podium and share your thoughts. Seeing no one, the public portion is now closed. Council, what is your recommendation for Bill 3614?
I move that bill.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill 3614 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Clerk 40, would you please read Bill 4014?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, suspending enforcement of Chapter 4, Article 4, Section 4-21 of the South Bend Municipal Code, pending further study and review.
Thank you, sir. The Health and Public Safety Committee met earlier. Chairman Dieter is not with us. You'd be the vice. What's the recommendation?
The recommendation full council for favorable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Aladine DeRose, with offices on the 12th floor of this building. Present earlier this afternoon was Michelle Adams, the licensing director. She can't be here this evening, so I'm making the presentation. This is an ordinance that will allow the busking ordinance, which had been passed as a pilot study, to be studied further and report back to the council by December 31st, 2014, at which time then we would make recommendations, and during that time ask for suspension of any enforcement. As far as I know, 11 persons have applied for the busking permit this year, and we will look into how successful that's been, whether any changes are needed. We'll discuss the matter with DTSB and downtown businesses. Ask for your favorable approval of this ordinance.
Thank you, Mrs. DeRose. Council, are there any questions for Mrs. DeRose?
Will we have any updates prior to December?
If we have information to report, we'll provide that to you.
Okay, so you're looking at bringing this to the last meeting of December then?
We'll bring it to you before then. It will be no later than December 31st.
Okay.
The intention is to do so well in advance of that
Within
date.
this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, President Davis. Any other questions? No. Thank you so much. We now invite any members of the audience wishing to speak in favor of Bill 4014 to come to the podium and share your thoughts. Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 4014, please come to the podium and share your thoughts. Seeing no one, the public portion is now closed. Council, what is your pleasure for Bill 4014?
Motion to send to the full council favorable report.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, Bill 4014 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Vorty, would you...
That is not necessary. A motion to continue indefinitely Bill 3514.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, Bill 3514 will be continued indefinitely. May I have a motion to resolve? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We're now...
Full council is now back in session. Woody, would you please read bill number 1472?
No,
3714.
Yeah. $37.14.
Thank you.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and city service operations in 2014 of $125,000 from General Fund Number 101, $300,229 from Motor Vehicle Highway Fund Number 222, $30,000 from Studebaker Oliver Grant Fund Number 209, $2 million from Department of Community Investment State Grants Fund Number 210, $150,000 from Gift Donation Bequest Fund Number 217, $1 million from Loss Recovery Fund Number 227, $9,900 from Morris Performing Arts Center Palais Royal Marketing Fund Number 273, $885,084 from EMS Capital Fund Number 288, and $15,000 from Police Federal Drug Enforcement Fund Number 299.
A motion to amend as it was in the Committee of the Whole.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. So carried. Look at the pass as amended.
Second.
Mr. Williams, you took the roll.
Mr. Scott? Aye. Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furlick? Dr. Varner?
Aye.
Vice President Dieter? He's absent. Mr. Furlick?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
And President Dieter? President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Jeez. My apologies. That would be 7 ayes.
Apologies accepted. Move forward. And bill number 3814, could you please read that now?
I'll try. Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating additional funds for certain departmental and enterprise operations in 2014 of $170,500 from Solid Waste Operations Fund number 610, $100,000 from Solid Waste Capital Fund number 611, $800,000 from Parking Garages Fund number 601, $500,000 from 2014 Sewer Bond Fund number 665, and $286,863 from Century Center Capital Fund number 671.
Move for the passage of Bill 30-14.
Second.
Mr. Woody, would you please take the roll?
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick. Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. And President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Now could you please read Bill 3914?
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana for budget transfers for various departments within the City of South Bend, Indiana for year 2014.
Move for the passage of Bill 39-14.
Second.
Mr. Woody, would you please take the roll?
Dr. Furlick. Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. And Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
And President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Now, we move on to Bill 3614.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 17, Article 2, Division 3 of the South Bend Municipal Code pursuant to the Environmental Protection Agency's recommendations.
Move for the passage of 3614.
Second.
Mr. Woody, would you take the roll?
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Now, Bill 4014.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, suspending enforcement of Chapter 4, Article 4, Section 4-21 of the South Bend Municipal Code pending further study and review.
Move for the passage of Bill 4014.
Second. Mr. Woody, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick. Dr. Varner.
Aye.
President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Thank you. Now, Bill 3514,
Bill 1472.
we're skipping that to 1472. Now, we read resolution.
1472, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, adopting a written fiscal plan and establishing a policy for the provision of services to an annexation area in Penn Township, Deldora Annexation Area.
Thank you. We have a committee report from, that was you, Tony.
Yes, President Davis, we sent this to the full council favorable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Michael DeVita, planner with the Department of Community Investment with offices on the 14th floor of this building. The fiscal plan addresses a 20-acre voluntary annexation area that you saw earlier here tonight at 17716, 17802, and 17830 Ireland Road, which is east of Ironwood Drive. No capital improvements are planned by the city as part of this annexation. Sewer and water are available along Ireland Road, and any connections will be done at the developer's expense. Depending on the ultimate site layout and intensity, the developer may need to extend the water main eastward and provide additional sanitary sewer capacity. Short sections of Ireland Road and Queensboro Street will be added to the city, with the developer making any necessary traffic upgrades to Ireland. No residents live in the annexation area, which will be in the Common Council's 5th District. The annexation area will be served by Police Beat 16, Fire Station 10, Emergency Medic 1, and Code Enforcement Area 5. These and other non-capital services will be in place within 1 year of the effective date of the annexation, with response times comparable to other areas of the city. So I then ask for the Council's adoption of the fiscal plan for this annexation area. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Davis? All right. Yes, Mr. Scott. None? Okay. None of that language. think we covered a lot of them today. Thank you. For a public hearing, those who would like to speak in favor? Seeing none, those who would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we move back to the council.
Move for the adoption.
Second.
Before we go back, the council mayor, I want to share something.
It's just this is for the benefit of folks who've sat through a lot of these meetings and occasionally heard someone comment that perhaps why is it that some areas or an area gets streets and sewers and sidewalks and curbs all at city expense and another area doesn't get any. The point I want to make here is not that that's good or bad, but yet Mr. DeVita made the point that all the improvements were going to be made by the developer in this particular deal. So it's a dilemma that we face sitting up here when this comes to us. Now, this just happens to be in 5, but in 5, all the improvements are being made. Now, we've had other areas, but there are some real interesting things to be discussed here going forward, and I just wanted to make that point with regards to how this is sometimes funded.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments you'd like to share? No, I believe
There's a motion and a second.
we already have the motion, we already have the second.
Yes.
So that means it's time for Clerk Porter to take the vote.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Aye. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
That would be 7 ayes.
Thank you. Could you read our next bill?
Council President Davis has not necessary. The petitioner has asked us to strike Bill 1463 from the agenda.
All right. You need a motion for that?
Yes.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is stricken. Now,
With regard to Bill 1470, the Department of Community Investment has asked that we strike this from the agenda.
so moved. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's also stricken. Now, we move down to Bill 1471. The confirming resolution.
1471, a resolution confirming the adoption of a declaratory resolution designating certain areas within the city of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as Lot 7, Ignition Park Major Subdivision, as an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 7-year real property tax abatement for Catalyst LLC.
Thank you. And can we have our presenter? See him coming forward. Both of you, Mr. Gill, thank you. Mr. Tuesday, good to see you tonight.
Yeah, good to see you, Mr. President, members of the full council. My name is Rich Deal with offices at Barnes & Thornburg at 100 North Michigan Street here in South Bend. I'm pleased to join Brad Toothaker, a principal of Catalyst, to request your consideration and approval of the resolution before you. As we discussed and as the council is aware, this relates to a proposed investment of over $12 million to construct 2 separate multi-tenant facilities within Ignition Park. This is designed to serve as a catalyst, one of the first and most aggressive investments in Ignition Park since the city's brownfield reclamation investment has been made over time. I know Catalyst LLC fully anticipates that with the 2 multi-tenant spec buildings that this will create an environment and create space for tenants seeking to serve as suppliers to other investments out there, as well as to locate and serve as a partner with University of Notre Dame and the Innovation Park at Notre Dame to hopefully fulfill the city's mission for this campus of the Certified Tech Park in which Ignition Park is. So we would kindly request the council's consideration and are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? I'm just glad you're here. I'm doing that because so many times in the past we didn't think that Ignition Park was going to take off, and now it's really moving forward. So I'm excited about it out here. So anything else? Do we need to do a public hearing? Yes. Yes. Those in public would like to bring their thoughts in favor. Those who would like to bring their thoughts in opposition. Seeing that there is no one, we move back to the council.
Move for the adoption of 1471.
Second. Mr. Vorty.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
And President Oliver Davis.
Aye. Well, yeah. Welcome.
That would be 7 ayes.
Okay. All right. Now for our next bill. 1473.
1473, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving an interlocal agreement for the elimination, reorganization, and consolidation of public safety answering points in St. Joseph County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Committee report?
Committee report. Fred.
The committee goes to the full council with no recommendation.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Mark Neal, Deputy Mayor with offices on the 14th floor of this building. Good evening, council, good evening, residents and guests here at the council meeting tonight. As for the council's favorable consideration of this resolution to approve the consolidation of the PSAPs, or the Public Safety Answering Points, here in the county, consistent with state statute, as we work to go from 4 911, 911 dispatch centers down to 2 before the end of this year, by December 31, 2014, and ultimately going to 1 PSAP location during 2015. I want to provide a summary of the work that's been done. With us this evening is Jason Vetney, the project manager from DLZ, John Julian, who's done the financial work on behalf of the county and the consortium from Umbro Associates, as well as folks, Marsh McClure, County Commissioner, and members of our Public Safety, Chief Cox from Fire, and Services Division Chief Gary Horvath from the Police Department. I think we've talked about the fact that a couple of key considerations is, one, state statute requires us to get down to 2 public safety answering points by the end of this year in order for us to continue receiving our county funds. We estimate that there will be a $2 million receipt for 2015. Not getting us down to 2 sites by the end of this year jeopardizes the receipt of those funds. As part of that, we've worked with a working group that supports our operations board, which Chief Cox is president of, also members of the county and the city of Mishawaka. And they've made recommendations to the executive board consisting of Commissioner McClure, myself, and Mayor Pete's absence, as well as Mayor Dave Wood of Mishawaka. That interlocal agreement sets forth an understanding of how we will share the costs of the 911 dispatch center going forward. It also includes a 2015 operating budget and plans for the construction of a new single site in the county during later this year and in 2015. We are particularly moving on the efforts to get down to 2 sites, which will consist of the city of Mishawaka continue to operate their 911 dispatch center through the remainder of this year until a single center is available later in 2015, and to do work on the South Bend Police Department's 911 dispatch center so we can accommodate both Clay Township and the county moving into that facility before the end of this year. So there's some significant construction and renovation work that needs to go on to create that facility to make it operational for all the dispatchers. It's a good investment, as the work that's being done has been planned will then allow the facility in South Bend to ultimately become the backup facility once the single facility is available. Again, we expect that to occur during 2015. Jason, we can go to the second slide, highlighting first the staffing effort as part of the interlocal agreement. We know that there will be a significant effort in this consolidation, going from 4 down to 2. We know that there will be a significant effort related to both technology and use of new protocols and standards that staff will need to be trained on. We also will be working very diligently to make sure that that new group works cohesively with 2 sites to continue providing a high level of service to all county residents and to those who may need use of our 911 center. The staffing analysis that was done was looking specifically at our county based upon call volumes. We compared that to a number of other facilities around the Midwest that had a similar situation, so we could hopefully establish what level of staffing we think we need to begin the consolidation effort. The analysis shows that based on call volumes and the effort required for the consolidation and the transition, that we'll have 64 full-time positions in dispatch and supervisory roles. That is currently the number of full-time positions we have within the county, City of Mishawaka, Clay Township, and the South Bend Police Department Dispatch Center. The staffing, you have the analysis of the populations, call volumes, and the work that was done on that. We do have expectations going forward that once we are in that single facility, the transition has occurred and there's additional training that's going on, we will look for additional efficiency opportunities, but certainly first and foremost, we'll focus on the effectiveness of delivering 911 services to our residents. It is expected, I would ask Jason to go to the next slide. It is expected that that new facility, that consolidated facility, Jason will provide additional details, with a 13,000 square foot facility, standalone facility that will house, there'll be 16 dispatch communication workstations. The staffing shows that we'll have anywhere from 12 to 14, depending upon time of day and day of week in terms of staffing requirements based on average call volumes. There's also space there for a training room, as well as the technology that will be housed there, as well as the administrative leadership positions within the center. The effort was made, we talked about it a little bit earlier this afternoon. Question's been asked, why are we going from 2 to, if we have to go back down to 2 by state statute, why are we ultimately going to 1? And if we're going to 1, why are we doing the one we're doing where we're doing it? There's been a significant effort that's been undertaken by both the working group as well as the operations board to say it is clear that we need to get down to 2. There's a plan to do that before the end of the year. That's been certainly the primary focus in the near term, because we do not want to jeopardize that $2 million in E911 receipts from the state. But then looking at, do we keep with 2 or should we go to 1? And in that analysis was looking at what is the infrastructure requirements, whether we have 2 or 1. And depending which way we go, where should it be located? In getting to having the decision going from 2 to 1, it was clear that we can be more effective and more efficient for county residents if we get to 1 center. The fact that it's a single center where all the investment in technology would take place, that the people are in the same location, can easily communicate with one another as well, particularly when there's a high volume of calls due to perhaps particular events. Oftentimes they're at-value events that occur in which we see tremendous 911 volume. And that would include snowstorms and tornadoes and those kinds of things. In having that second backup center, we need to have that as a redundant site. Should there be something that would make the primary center inoperative for some period of time, the fact that the infrastructure investment is not as great makes it more sense to have a single center with a backup rather than having 2 centers. In addition, the staffing requirements of a single center are less from an administrative oversight supervision standpoint, so that's why we've gone down to 1 center. As part of selecting 1 center, there's a significant effort made by the project team to look at a number of locations around both South Bend, Mishawaka, and the county. In the end, they identified a site that was owned by the Indiana Department of Transportation. It was available for free. It could be contributed to the project. It could be done on a fairly efficient basis. It had strong infrastructure given its location just off Capitol Avenue. So that was the decision to go to a single site. Jason, if you go to the 4th slide, please. Regarding the financials, it's as contemplated under the interlocal agreement. There are really 2 key issues that were looked at by the group. First, it was, what are the infrastructure costs? What are the fixed costs of the center, both from an annual operating budget, but also the construction of a new center versus the rehabilitation renovation of existing centers. Determined, as I said earlier, that we should have a single center, should be a new center, so it should be properly built to be a long-term asset of the county and the various localities that would be funded through a 20-year bond for the infrastructure, and then a separate funding for the technology that's contemplated initially, as well as an ongoing technology refreshment that will clearly need to be taking place over the next 20 years as we all continue to see the evolution of technology. And we provide this center to be able to operate not only with landlines and cell phones, but ultimately with text messaging and video as we see the continued increase of these technologies within our public space. In looking at the operational budget, this reflects on the left-hand side a total operating budget of $6.1 million. Then we adjust that number for the estimated $2 million of state revenue, bringing a net operating budget of $4.1 million in 2015. The allocations that you see for South Bend, Mishawaka, and the county reflect the effort of the two factors that were used. One, fixed cost. There is a certain cost of running a 911 center that's almost regardless of call volume within a certain level. Based again upon the average call volumes that we see in the county from a 911 as well as from an administrative basis, there's an allocation made that 75% of these costs are fixed and 25% are variable for purposes of allocation. The basis for that allocation would be the assessed value of properties in the county, in the city of Mishawaka, and the city of South Bend. In addition, so 75% of the costs are based upon that assessed value allocation, similar to where property taxes are collected, similar to where property taxes are allocated in the county among the various municipal and other government entities. The 25% variable cost is a function of call volume. So we looked at call volume for the last 3 years among the various entities, and using that as a variable figure, it made a calculation for what South Bend's component would be to this total. The total for South Bend is approximately 38%. So in taking that $4.1 million operating budget, applying South Bend's pro rata share, as contemplated under the interlocal agreement, brings forth a cost of $1.5 million contemplated for 2015. What I wanted to reflect on the bottom, the historical projected cost comparisons, is what we have spent on our 911 services for the preceding 4 years and what they're projected to be in 2015. You can see that our net number, when we look at what money has been given to us from the county in prior years, we in 2010 spent $1.7 million. 2011, almost $1.9 million, over $1.9 million in 2012, and upwards of $2 million plus in 2013, 2014, and 2015. So there is a benefit here to the city in looking at the combined center that we do expect to have some cost savings. These are estimates. Final numbers have not yet been received because we have not completed all the bid work, but there's been a significant effort made by the working group and the operations board to come up with what we believe to be reasonable figures that hopefully are cautious estimates of what we expect final numbers to be. I mentioned in the committee session earlier today that $1.5 million of our cost does not reflect all of the city's costs. There are also estimates for what our portion of the bond payment would be for the new facility, which is approximately $208,000. In addition, we would continue to staff our front desk at the South Bend Police Department that handles both walk-up traffic as well as traditionally handle call volume that comes in. We still need to work through what the requirements are for those positions and what level of activity we expect, but for right now we're assuming that we'll maintain the status quo while we work through this transition. And again, this transition is going to take all of 2015. So once taken into account what we'll be looking at in terms of the capital, our portion of the capital payment, annual payment under the bonds, as well as looking at our front desk personnel. We have 8 full-time people at the front desk of the police department, and then looking at what we believe to be one-time costs associated with the transition of the 911 employees to the county. We expect a savings of approximately $100,000 in the first year. So there is still a net savings to the city under this that we envision under this interlocal agreement based upon the numbers that have been put together. Jason, if you go to the last slide. So this is just highlighting, the last slide talked about operating expenses. This one looks at the capital budget. So the renovation of the South Bend Police Department, that's the renovation of the backup center, and then construction of the new dispatch building. The backup center renovation is about a $500,000 amount. I'm looking at Jason to make sure I have that right. That's the expectation. That's something we look to get the work on that bid out fairly quickly so we can stay on track for this December 31 deadline, because we must have that work done so that we can, in fact, physically move those county personnel into the South Bend Police Department to get ourselves down to those 2 locations by December 31. You also see additional money there for storage, additional parking. There's administrative costs associated with all the project work, design work, architectural fees, legal fees, and other things, as well as the cost of the issuance of the bond. So you see the total number there. We also envision that there will be some technology that we will purchase through this bond, that there's some technology that we do believe makes sense that will have approximately a 10-year life to it, so that would be included in the bond. So that's the additional $1,250,000 showing there for a total of $9 million. Again, utilizing those allocations, you can see the total of the expected debt service on an annual basis there at the center bottom, $717,218, versus the City of South Bend's portion would be $208,208 is what's estimated. With that, I'll entertain questions or comments.
Mark, you said that your 2 main considerations for the location were the free land and the already existing infrastructure, right?
That's correct.
We didn't have free land in South Bend and we didn't have existing infrastructure?
I'm going to ask Jason Vetney, who spent a lot of time with the working group and the operations board in making a site selection recommendation.
Thank you.
Jason?
Mayor, thank you. Jason Vetney, project manager with DLZ with offices at 2211 East Jefferson Boulevard in South Bend. The site selection process was an extensive review process that first began with developing a potential inventory of sites that met a selection criteria. That include factors of consideration such as a 5-acre parcel of land, again, access to infrastructure, access to emergency routes, access to fiber. Another key component of that consideration was because of the location of the backup center, there was a potential concern perceived with having a primary center located in proximity that might be affected by by one storm event or one loss of power, one gas leak, potentially affecting both sites. So that was another factor in the consideration of the location of the primary center versus the backup. Because of that review process, of the sites that were considered, again, as the mayor mentioned, they were throughout the county, some in South Bend, some in Mishawaka, some in the county. The site selected off of Capitol was considered most favorable after reviewing all of that criteria.
Question. On that panel, were the majority of them from Mishawaka, from the county, or were they from South Bend, or what was the composition of that panel? Did they have any political issues? I mean, were they from elected office, or were they members who were non-political, or what was the composition?
The sites proposed were generally proposed by the executive board, which includes members of the mayor of South Bend, mayor of Mishawaka, and a representative of the Board of Commissioners. That was in working with their respective agencies to propose sites. Once those sites were proposed and an initial evaluation was done, those sites were tailored down to an evaluation of 7 sites, I believe. 3 or 4 of those were in South Bend, 1 in the county, which was ultimately selected, and 1 well, actually 2 in the county. The site off of Capitol Avenue is technically in county limits. It's a Mishawaka address, so when I refer to the county site, it's actually off of Capitol with a Mishawaka address, but it's not in Mishawaka city limits.
So back to Dr. Furley's question, you had 3 sites in South Bend that met the criteria?
Yeah, those were all in the Blackthorn Development District. Those were ones that we did more extensive evaluation of.
There was none down by Kevin Smith, down by where you have more fiber than any other place in the world. There was no 5-acre sites just west of here?
I think part of the consideration there was the duplication of infrastructure relative to the backup site. In other words, again, part of the consideration was the benefit of having a primary site that was not on the same infrastructure in terms of power as the primary site, or excuse me, as the backup site. In other words, you don't want one storm event affecting both the primary and the backup site.
The backup site could have been in Mishawaka too, right? Could have been in Mishawaka that had the primary site here.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let me ask one of
Mark, I think what this points out is like the CSO project. I think if the council would have been involved sooner, we might have had 9 cheerleaders here that might have been able to bring it to South Bend instead of the county or Mishawaka. So I just think include us earlier, like the CSO project, and I think we might have been able to affect some change. But I realize the horse is out of the barn. The other question I have, Mark, you said that 38% of the cost will be borne by South Bend, right? So is that a trade-off because are we going to have the same percentage as far as bond payment, or are they going to jack that up? In other words, this 38% is underestimating what our cost should probably be. So is that trade-off of by population anyway?
Did you say underestimate or I'm sorry, make sure?
By population, the city of South Bend isn't 38% of the entire population of the county, Mishawaka and all that. We have a higher percentage, right? Mishawaka has 42,000, we have 100,000, and the county has...
It's not the way the calculation was done, but as a matter of fact, our population is about 40% of the county's population. So, but John Julian can provide additional details in terms of if you're interested in terms of how the math was done based upon the various factors that we looked at. John?
And then that bond percentage too. I'd be interested in that.
John Julian, a partner with Umlaut Associates, 112 Ironworks Drive, Mishawaka. As we worked through the financial plan, we looked at a number of alternatives for cost allocation methods. There isn't a textbook direction as to how costs can be allocated. So what you look for is a methodology that holds true with a reasonable look. In other words, if a reasonable man looks at it, you can see some logic to the approach. In taking that approach and discussing different possibilities with the executive committee, we looked at allocating costs on a pure call volume basis. Our concern was that costs really aren't driven directly by call volume. There's a substantial amount of costs that are fixed. When we looked at a methodology for allocating fixed costs, we looked at population as a possible criteria. We looked at number of parcels being served throughout the county. The option that was chosen was net assessed valuation. Probably the number one reason for choosing that is that it is the traditional methodology for allocating public safety costs. And each entity in its current form funds public safety through that methodology. So that became the primary approach for 75% of the operational cost. The other 25% was allocated based upon call volume to take into account that while it doesn't drive cost directly, it does have a bearing on cost call volume. So that's how you come up with the weighted average where South Bend's operational responsibility is approximately 37-38%. The other cost is the bond issue. The bond issue is a fixed cost, and the methodology for allocating those costs is based upon assessed value, where the portion, specific percentage, on the previous slide, you saw that the allocation percentage for debt service for South Bend is approximately 29%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing no questions at this time, we then now move to our public hearing. Those who speak elected in favor? Those who speak in opposition? Okay, back to the council before we... Yes, you're in favor, opposition, what are you? Opposition, thank you. Thank you.
My name's Dan Denwer. I'm Sergeant of South Bend Police Department K-9 Unit and currently President of FOP 36. It's not so much that we're in opposition of a plan of consolidation. We welcome that. it's going down to one center, putting all your eggs in one basket. The comment was made during the presentation about not having your backup site too close to your primary in case of a storm. Well, that's our point too, because right now I've driven it. It's 17 minutes to get from the Downey Street site to the South Bend Police Department site. Also with that site, it's one way in, one way out. So if there's a storm, dispatchers are stuck there. If the system goes down, we're looking at 17 minutes without 911, without dispatching. A lot can happen in 17 minutes. We believe the idea of going down to 2 is the better option. You always have 2 sites working. If something happens to one site, and Mishawaka and South Bend are far enough apart, if something happens at one site and it goes down, the other site can take over. As I understand it now, the South Bend room, the backup center, is going to be set to mirror what this $9 million building is going to be. Why not stick with 2 sites? Also, we're being told these are all estimates. Earlier this year it was reported the cost skyrocketed to $18 million for this building. Magically now they're down to $9 million. Part of it, they said, is the EPA footprint's been, or the EMA footprint's been removed. That's only $500,000. It's not $9 million cut in half. So I kind of question that. But as I say, my primary concern is public safety. I don't think we can stand for having a system that if it goes down, we're looking at 17 minutes before we have, service back up and running again. The other thing is, with the 911 calls, right now, if South Bend's 911 service gets overrun, 911 calls will roll over to the county, they'll roll over to Mishawaka. We have no idea where they'll go if we just have one center. That is a big, grave concern of ours. And the second part, besides the public safety, like I said, is the cost. We just had news last week, budget cuts, hiring freezes, no raises in the county. Is this really the time to go with a $9 million building? We just think, the members of the FOP believe the 2-center site is a better option. Thank you.
Other concerns or issues that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, the administration of those who presented it will have a chance for rebuttal.
I think in all, just to respond first, the FOP has participated, has sat in on executive board meetings. I don't know, because I haven't been to an operations board meeting, but I suspect they've sat in an operations board meeting as well. Greatly respect the input and perspective of our FOP and their complete focus on public safety. And I think we're in agreement on that. The idea that there are, whether there's 1 center or 2 center here in the county, would note that that we rely, just as I think most public safety entities rely upon, some form of mutual aid. And the expectation would be, whether we have 2 centers or 1, if the 2 centers are not staffed to handle the level of call volume by themselves, that you will have to rely upon mutual aid for another dispatch center. So similarly, and my example here is that if we have a center that we believe we want 16 workstations, and we're staffing 12, 13, or 14 dispatchers on each shift, if we're going to break that up and 1 center is not available, and typically that may be because of some event, we're going to have to go somewhere to find that half of dispatchers that are currently not operating. So we certainly, within the interlocal and by work of the county, would look for mutual aid agreements so that we do have other counties' dispatch centers that would be available to us that would serve us during that period of time. Certainly as well, if a center were to go down, there would be systems in place to address that. And within the RFP that's being developed for technology, there's a recognition of what kind of backup facility or backup technologies are available, what the downtimes can be, and how those are to be handled. So I think really whether you have 2 sites or 1 site, the public safety issue is the same. I think we feel better. We feel that we have a higher level of public safety with a single site, in which if it is not operational, we have our own backup site that we can use, that we can go to, and that we control, that's under the management and supervision of the county executive director to serve the residents of St. Joseph County, to serve the residents of South Bend. So I think that we do believe the single site it allows the most effective delivery of service. We also believe it provides the most efficient level of service. In terms of the separation between the sites of 17 minutes, the expectation would be that if it's going to be an event in which there's a challenge in getting dispatchers, getting employees to the site, we have that issue today should there be a significant snow event. And we use our Public Works Department in order to make sure that people who need to get to the job can get to the job. So that would be the expectation I would have with any site that we would have until we get our snowplows into the location and get the area cleared. I think we have confidence that with snow events, as an example, that between the City of South Bend's Public Works, Mishawaka's Public Works, and the county, that would be a very high priority, a top priority. We'd make sure the roads were cleared. If there's an event that's a power issue, again, the idea is that we're making sure that this site is designed to have redundant power, to have the systems in place that they while not fail-safe, because nothing can be fail-safe, they have a very high degree of continuity and of uptime so that we can provide continuous service out of that single site.
Question for you. How many counties our size are moving to just one site across the state of Indiana?
Councilmember Davis, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll ask others here if they do know how many are going to a single site. There are a large number of them only because we've had...
Some of that have our similar size. I mean, well, that have the size of our county, how many are moving to just one? How many are moving to just two?
We probably have...
Can we get a list of that? Why did they make the decision to go one? Why did they make the decision to go two? All that good stuff.
Chief Cox, South Bend Fire Department, 1222 South Michigan Street. President Davis, I'm not 100% certain that there are that many counties in the state of Indiana that mirror the demographic of St. Joseph County, frankly. I know Marion County specifically has gone to a single dispatch center, as has Allen County. So Indianapolis and Fort Wayne have both done this. We actually, as an operations board, did visit Allen County. Their dispatch center is a relatively large system. It's bigger than the one that we have, and that's just because of probably call volume, along with population. They're about double the size of St. Joseph County. It's very difficult for us to be able to find a dispatch center county that mirrors us demographically. We did go to Waukesha County in Wisconsin, which does have very similar statistics, along with population size as St. Joseph County. They did do a consolidation project down to a single dispatch center, and it was working very well for them. I'd like to also add that as the fire chief of the city of South Bend, I also have a primary focus on public safety as well. One of the drawbacks to two separate centers, no matter where you have them located, is occasionally you'll have 911 calls that come in on border areas between jurisdictions. And so what happens is one agency receives a 911 call, but it has to then be transferred over to the appropriate other center, and in the meantime, there's time lost in the emergency specific to the response. One of the things that we would like to see on the fire side is that we eliminate that delay in response.
Can that be done through technology and not necessarily a new building?
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Can that be done through technology and not necessarily a new building?
It could be, but I don't know that you're ever going to create a total lack of a delay. If you're having to transfer that call from one dispatch center to another, you still have the delay of making that call to the other dispatch center to alert them that there's a call in the other area. That's what's happening currently in St. Joseph County. If you have Clay Fire Territory that handles all of the county 911 calls, and we have to basically say a county ambulance is no longer available and they need a South Bend ambulance to respond to a county call, they have to contact our dispatch center, which creates a delay, because then they have to go through the whole vetting process and explain to the South Bend Dispatch Center what the call is, where it's located, etc. Then we have to gather our resources to respond to that call.
How much delay are you talking about right now?
Sometimes it's minutes.
Sometimes it's what?
Minutes.
Minutes, so the worst,
Minutes in delay.
worst case scenario, you're looking at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or what are you talking about?
My experience is purely anecdotal.
I
Would
understand.
be occasionally 2 minutes, sometimes even 3. I don't know, frankly, of any delays of 5 to 10 minutes or anything like that, but obviously in an emergency situation, 2 to 3 minutes is critical
Does
sometimes.
that mean standard or operating procedures in terms of licensing, medical issues, or are we already at risk now?
No, where it is now. That's what I'm talking about. So with the idea of going down to a single dispatch center, you eliminate this delay.
But Steve, are they on a coffee break or what? I mean, the hospital ER doesn't work that way.
No. If you have, okay, so this is simple mathematics. If you have 14 ambulances in St. Joseph County that are working at a specific time, and you have 10 of them out on calls, and all of the ambulances in one district or one jurisdiction are on calls already, and you need another ambulance from another jurisdiction to pick up that 11th call, obviously that 911 call is going to come into the jurisdiction in which the emergency took place. And so at that point, that emergency dispatch center is going to have to contact the other emergency dispatch center. It has nothing to do with being, this is not a hit on anybody. It's just purely a simple fact that occasionally we wind up with high volumes of calls in specific areas. Now, if you have a single dispatch center, you eliminate that entirely. Because all of the calls are coming into one area. They receive the call, they know immediately what the location of dispatch is, and they dispatch it out to the appropriate unit.
So the question is whether the cost of another call center is worth that 30 to 60 seconds it takes for the...
Well, I would suggest anecdotally that would be dependent on who you are and why you're calling 911 and what your level of emergency is.
Madam Chair.
Chief Cox, I think these questions might be more for Neil, but Mayor Neil, just from a high-level perspective, is 911 a federally funded, is it through Homeland Security or FEMA?
Actually, it's as far as I don't know the answer to that. I understand to be a state activity based upon receipts that we receive from the telecom services throughout the state.
Excuse me, I can't.
John?
It's 100% locally funded. A portion of revenues that filter through the state and come back to the local level is the assessment that is applied to each telephone line, be it landline or a wireless line. There is a state assessment that's applied to those that are collected at the state level and brought back to the local level. That's the $2 million E911 revenues that are addressed in the financial plan.
Okay, so the reason I ask that is, so if this is perhaps being driven at the state level and not the federal level, are there other states that are encouraging the similar type? Do you know of other states that are going through a similar type of consolidation?
I'm not familiar with the activities in other states, but clearly this was a statutory derivative from our General Assembly.
Okay. And is this a matter that's being driven by cost or by truly by improving the service?
I think it was probably a little bit of both, but given the attitude of the General Assembly looking at perceived improved efficiencies at the local level, that certainly had a significant influence on the legislation.
And the last question, for the FOP gentleman mentioned that the building went from 19 million to 8 million. That how did that happen?
I appreciate you asking the question. One of the values of having these kind of conversations is you get a lot of the conversation that appears in the corridors straightened out. The financial plan on the capital side recognized two primary cost drivers. One is the cost of the bricks and mortar of building the new facility and renovating the existing site. Those costs haven't changed, and You can see them kind of summarized here. The bricks and mortar cost of the new site and the renovation site is the first line item there, about $5.8 million. Over the last 6 months, only modification that number has gone through is a reduction due to some reduced square footage in the new site. The other costs you can see there are some parking costs and storage costs at the new site, and then the professional fees, administrative costs associated with the general consolidation project itself. So the building, the bricks and mortar building, and the renovation of the backup site is about $6 million. The conversations that were had with the executive board as the financial plan was evolved also addressed the second issue, which is technology. Technology is substantially being funded. Well, you'll see a line item here, $1.2 million for technology, which is some of the improvements at the new building, such as the communications tower and the generator and some computers on the administrative staff's desk, things of that nature. The majority of technology deals with the radios, the software for computer-aided dispatch, and the E911 services that are kind of the backbone for the operations. In discussing the financial plan with the executive board, the decision makers, we identified a lump sum cost of about $9 million if that technology was paid for in one time. Well, technology generally isn't paid for in one downstroke. It's amortized over the useful life of the technology. In fact, do we have the... Yes, you can see in this slide here, the $1.6 million under technology reflects about $1 million of the amortized upfront purchase price of technology. So the building, when you hear numbers like the building cost $18 million versus now it's $5, you're getting an apples and oranges comparison there, both in terms of what is being purchased and how it's being paid for. So as an accountant, I'm professionally trained to take simple things and make them sound complex, but I'll try.
You've done a wonderful job. So are you saying that the payment schedule over time with interest and all of that, that ultimately that $18,000 number is not the upfront, it's an amortized schedule?
No, the $18 million is, and I don't have that 18 in front of me, but what they're referring to is roughly the $6 million for construction of the new site and renovation of the existing site. And I think our technology total cost, if you wrote a check for E911 services, wrote a check to buy the radios, wrote a check to purchase the computer-aided software, you were talking about $9 million.
An additional?
No, it's, look at it this way. You're going to buy a house. Okay, the price of that house is $9 million. Very few people are going to put a $9 million check on the table and buy that house. The plan was never to put a $9 million check on the table and buy technology. What the financial plan was is to amortize that cost over the useful life of the technology, and that's embedded in the $1.6 million of technology costs that makes up part of the budget.
Okay. Last but not least, I just have to ask: will the South Bend Council be the first group to vote on this interlocal agreement? Mishawaka and the county have approved this.
Mishawaka approved it.
Approved it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we allowed the rebuttals to go on a little longer. So we're now back to the council portion. What is your pleasure, or comments, or anything else that you'd like to share at this time? Or your recommendations regarding this bill? Anybody?
I think it should be continued.
Okay, what continued for when? What's your
August 11th in the council portion.
Okay, we have a...
Second.
And sent back to the Health and Public Safety Committee.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or do we have to take a vote on that?
Yes, you have to, a voice vote.
Vote for the sign. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. This is going to be set back on August the 11th, and that would be in the afternoon, or unfortunately, not in the council. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
If we have any questions or additional concerns, should we email those to you and to the chairperson of that committee?
That's fine.
That not only would we have those questions, but the administration can have them too, so that when we come, we'll be ready to take action.
The more information we have ahead of time, the better we can reflect and think.
'Cause I think there were some concerns about Clay Township and their involvement.
There was some information that came up this afternoon. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. Are we all in peace?
Yes.
Okay. Now moving to bills for first reading. Bills 41 and 14.
First reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending sections of Chapter 9, Article 30 of the South Bend Municipal Code to address ambulance medical service fees.
Number 4114, we sent the Personnel Finance Committee.
Health and Public Safety?
Is that a joint committee meeting?
Health and Public Safety?
Health and Public Safety, parade and level. Second reading public.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. So carried. We have first reading for bill 4214.
First reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, annexing to and bringing within the city limits of South Bend, Indiana, and amending the zoning ordinance for property located in Clay Township, contiguous therewith, Councilmanic District 4, Rainbow Triad Development, 17316 and 17288 State Road 23, South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. What is your pleasure?
I move that Bill 42-14 be sent to aerial plan.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. It is carried. Now on the unfinished business, could you please read bill 3414?
Just a motion to send it
That's
to
fine.
zoning and annexation for second and third reading and public hearing on August 11th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Any new business coming to the council? Seeing none, we now move to privilege of the floor. Mr. Scott, to please take some time. We have each person can say their name and address and get 3 minutes.
I'll give you a 1-minute exit warning.
Go ahead.
My name is Barbara Jewell. I live at 821 Gardner Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. Excuse me. Mayor Pete Buttigieg gladly acquiesced with former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Excuse me. When the former mayor was looking for mayors across the country to sign on for being in favor of gun control laws. Gun laws that would take away guns from the general population. Apparently they have a blind eye to history and what happens to a population when the guns are taken away from its citizens. An example is to what happened to citizens of Switzerland at the beginning of World War II. The citizens had to turn in all their guns within a 24-hour period. The next day, Hitler and his army took over the country. There is now a law in Switzerland that every household has a military rifle within its household. 3 of our most violent cities, Chicago, Detroit, and Washington, D.C., all have gun control laws. But alas, it is not the citizens, but the criminals, those who do not abide by the law, that have the guns. They get the guns and use them against the citizenry and the police. It may seem a long jump to look at what is coming out of the mayor's office to what has happened to our Park Service personnel. But talking about taking their guns from them puts them in danger and puts the law-abiding public in danger. I see the action of the mayor's office as a step closer to gun control. I am pleased to hear that Councilwoman Valerie Shea is able to see the value in supporting the Park Service. Please back Councilwoman Valerie Shea and ultimately the Park Service employees.
Park Service employees are trained by the state enforcement officers to they need our support, your support, and the public in general. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. I come to the council tonight to ask you to launch yet another investigation. Usually when I'm up here, it's the same old tune, corruption. So the reason I come up here tonight, I came to you approximately 4 years ago in May of 2010. I brought up an issue on a job site where a contractor did some damage on a property, and the city sent city employees, city equipment there for approximately 6 days to repair the damage that a local contractor did. Shouldn't have been on the city's back or taxpayers' back. This contractor should have had a company out there, and his insurance should have paid to have that property fixed. I've got about 24 photographs of that job from 2010 in an envelope here for you. I was contacted a week ago Saturday by a concerned citizen that happened to see city trucks, workers, and equipment on private property once again doing concrete work at a property address on North Shore Drive, 837. By the time I arrived to the address, the city workers were gone, but I did see this nice new patio that was poured there in the backyard inside the privacy fence. I received another call from a concerned citizen and said, hey, did you manage to get there and see these city employees working on private property? And I said, no. They said, well, let us provide you with some photographs to again bring to the council. We've got neighborhoods here where we can't fix sidewalks that belong to the city, but we've got city employees and city equipment doing work on private properties, which is totally illegal. 1 minute, sir. And corrupt. So when I brought this to you 4 years ago, it kind of got swept under the rug. So this time I'm going to provide you with photos of North Shore and this other job on Stanfield, along with my privilege of the floor. And I want to let you know that I've already sent this to the state police to launch an investigation, and it will be going to the state attorney general's office as well. So I hope you folks do your due diligence in your job and find out who's behind these jobs and why we have our employees out on private property working. They won't come to my house and pour a patio or a driveway, and I don't think they'll come to most of yours either.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Rhonda Richards, and I'm here again. I was here about 2 weeks ago. I just was wondering when the different complaints against Councilman Henry Davis were going to be addressed. I realize that things are spiraling and getting worse. That makes it harder for you guys to do your job. It makes it very sad for him in his life and the pressure that he's under. I just wanted you guys to know that I am still watching, and I do want to hold you guys accountable for you taking the action that should have been taken months ago. And then maybe we wouldn't be in the position we're in now. And I wouldn't have to be here now another time. I came about a year ago asking, in support of Henry Davis, asking what you guys were going to do about the tapes and things like that. And I turned in a formal request, and I've never gotten a formal answer from this board either. And now, again, I'm turning in a copy of my original complaint, and I'm asking for you guys to please deal with this, because this is your job, and we have to, as a council, as a team of members supporting our city and doing the work of our city, you should have been the first ones to help him and to work with him and to get this stopped back in January, and you weren't. And now it's spiraling out of control, and it looks horrible for him. And it's of his own doing, maybe, but it's also of yours because you did not hold each other accountable for the jobs that needed to be done.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Randy Halliburton, 740 Bryan Avenue. I was born and raised in South Bend, Indiana, serving in the United States Armed Forces. And I'm going to say that I think that we, as the public, should know what's on those tapes that has not been released, that came in from the police department. Every citizen has the right to know that. Every citizen in the city of South Bend has the right to know that. I find it really troubling that you paid $1 million out to former Chief Boykins, other police officers, but the public doesn't know what's on those tapes. We have the right to know if there's a racist element on our police force. It's not to accuse anybody or point fingers, but the public does have a right to know. Every citizen has a right to know. Every citizen has a right to know what's on those tapes, and if there was criminal elements on those tapes, we have a right to know the police officers will be held accountable. Whoever is responsible should be held accountable. I think that every citizen has a right to know, and I hope that the council, the mayor's office, does something about this and does something about this very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Samuel Brown. I represent Citizens United for Better Government. And we, the taxpayers of the city of South Bend, who footing the bill for things that's happening in our city. We got an area where 2 people got burned up. The area in the same vicinity where a young man got shot and died. We have things happening in this area over in that section of town, and we don't feel like we have no representation. We need a voice over there and somebody we can talk to about our problems that's happening in that sector. We can't wait till May 15th of 2015, because then it's going to be addressed. I promise you that. But I'm tired of it. Every day I go out, supermarkets, walking, or wherever I go, people ask me the same question. I appreciate your fight with the tapes. I hope that you get all the money you need to pay the law firm, because the citizen has the right. Because we are the ones that fit the bill. We are paying for this. Each one of you guys get paid. We want our money's worth. And I feel over that area over there, we're not getting our money's worth. So believe this, 2015, or next year, the answer will be taken care of. I promise you that. And you don't believe it, you can look at it from a big perspective. It ain't just one guy. It's going to be a group of people. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Our final one for the night.
Dave Wilson, 1109 21st Street. I'm here just to say a little bit more what Bob was saying. I'm kind of backing up Mrs. Shea, council lady, on the gun thing. I've had a gun permit for many, many years. I carry a gun with me all the time. And I actually really don't think our mayor gives a damn about the Second Amendment in our Constitution. And I would really like some time to talk to the man and find out how he feels about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
You go. We have one more.
Huh?
Yes. You can go ahead. You can go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
One more.
My name is Sal Gershoffer. I live at 2101 Prairie Avenue. Maybe some of you have read my articles in other places to people. Henry Davis should resign. He is a disgrace to the good people of this council. He is costing the taxpayers of South Bend thousands of dollars. Now, how long is the council going to keep up with a person like Henry Davis Jr.? He's not fit to be sitting in that chair over there. It's time for the council to act. I know what I read in the paper that in order for a councilman to be removed, he has to commit a felony. Well, he's pretty close to a felony. Here's a man that drove the wrong way on the South Bend Freeway. He could have killed somebody. He could have, by driving the wrong way on that highway. Thank you.
Thank you. We are adjourned.